Hey everyone, Connor here from Kamerastore.com, here for another round of Q&A. I'm joined by Nico. So just like last week, we got some questions from Instagram as well as some comments from you here on YouTube. We're going to go through them here and give you some answers. So let's get right into it. If you have any questions that pop up during the video, leave them in a comment below and maybe we'll answer them.
We'll try our best. We start with Cesar Gato. Camera system that best accommodates other lens mounts.
So there's many mounts. I mean, if you're talking about modern digital cameras, mirrorless cameras are the best. The reason for that is because they don't have a mirror. Like this Nikon FM3A has a mirror box here. And a mirrorless camera like this Olympus, see, there was a reason why I put it there.
Has the sensor really close to the mount.
Yeah. So because there's less distance between the back of the lens and the image capturing sensor, film or digital, you're able to fit other lenses mounts. Yeah.
I mean, for an extreme example, a Hasselblad is the lens mounts here, but the film is all the way back here. There's maybe 10 centimeters between the front and the back. So this lens could be adapted to a mirrorless camera, but you maybe wouldn't be able to adapt it to like a other medium format system that had a longer focal length. So yeah, the best, I mean, if we're going into mirrorless, I would recommend, I think Sony has released so many models that they're ahead of the game with mirrorless. So I'd say pretty much any Sony that is less than 4 or 5 years old, because the color science improved a lot. That's what I would recommend. If we're talking about film cameras that can be adapted,
Leica M.
Leica M is not the one you can adapt to a lot of stuff.
You can, well, no, you can put a bunch of lenses onto Leica M.
Yes, you won't have the rangefinder rangefinder aligned. How do you say, connection?
Yeah.
But I think Canon EF will admit M42 lenses and Nikon F lenses.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like semi-flexible. But yeah, it's not super common to change usually lens mounts on film cameras. It can be done, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
For that, we also have like Tamron Adaptol, which I guess you mentioned.
It's a whole system that Tamron had in the, I guess, 70s and 80s, where they basically made a universal lens and then sold adapters to put those lenses on all the popular systems of the time, which is a really cool idea, and I think they sold quite many of them.
Yeah, we see a lot of them at the store, that's for sure.
Yeah, they were very popular, I think, budget options. But yeah, it's not really recommended, like we said, to put a film lens on another film body. You just lose so much compatibility. Like we said, with Leica M, you lose the rangefinder.
Automatic aperture, stop down, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's possible. And I think you can check what we said, and I have time to research. We have Arana Log Film. Arana is just Arana is the street I used to live in. Mju-I or Mju-II? This question goes regarding the Olympus compact camera, the Mju-I and Mju-II, also known as Stylus and Stylus Epic, I guess?
Stylus Epic in the US.
Yeah. Which one would you recommend? Overall.
Money
is not a concern.
Money is not an object? Well, if money is not an object and they cost the same amount, then the Mju-II is just a newer body. It's faster. It has an extra stop of light because it has a f2.8 lens instead of the f3.5 on the Mju-I. I think it's a nice looking camera as well. I think they're both nice looking cameras.
It also has the option for the spot meter.
Yeah,
on the Mju-II.
It does have it's a slightly more advanced system, and it's weather sealed. And I'm not 100% sure if the original Mju is weather sealed.
I don't know for sure. We haven't seen the stickers on them. I have to say the Mju-I, that was if money is not an object, but if money is an object, I think the Mju-I is a better option for the price because it's like around half the price, give or take.
Yeah.
And the 3.5 shouldn't throw you off. Point and shoots mostly will do great until they can't do good, and then they put in the flash, and then they continue doing great.
Yeah.
Unless you're like 10 meters away and you're trying to take a picture of like the museum painting from the other side of the room like your grandma would, then it won't do great. But if you're shooting it at a party with friends or anything like that, the flash on the Mju-I or 2 will do great.
Flash,
So I really enjoy the 1, but I also own the 2, so I guess both would be another option.
Yeah, it is really, yeah, just buy both, yeah, if only. It is really interesting how the 35 f2.8 lens in a compact camera is like so sought after these days, when really these cameras very rarely will use 2.8. They'll more often go straight to the flash in a dark situation.
Also, if we go into the actual truth of point and shoots, most of them, we were discussing this at work the other day, most of them don't have high shutter speeds, which means if they're capping at 1/350th of a second, or 1/500th of a second, or 1/700th of a second, they're not going to shoot 2.8 on bright sunlight.
No.
They're going to shoot f5.6, f4, 3.5, whatever they can, because they know, these cameras were smart enough to know that the more they stop down, the more chance of everything being in focus. And like I said, as these cameras were intended for people that were not so used to shooting cameras, they were trying to fix whatever issues these people were doing in their photography, being misfocusing, misflashing, anything. So don't think that the f2.8 is going to give you f2.8 all the time.
You don't need good autofocus if you're using f16.
But yeah, let's go to the next one. Poliakovusko. This is probably finished.
That was a good try.
Polu would be, because Y is U.
I don't think it's finished.
Okay.
But just read the question.
Are you planning to build your new film camera? What it can be?
I mean, if it's a genuine question, no, we're not planning on building a new film camera. Just the R&D that we would need to do, and the buying and setting up of a factory space would be tens of millions of euros.
Or we will come out with a pinhole camera.
Yeah, which is, we can 3D print a box.
Or a 10 F2 now with a little pinhole.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably are not going to be making a camera. It's been on the roadmap as an option of like, hey, maybe we do have to make one, but like Connor said, the R&D, the know-how and all that is not so simple. And nowadays with the likes of Pentax coming out with a new film camera, Mint cameras coming with a 35mm camera, so many others trying to make film cameras, we are better suited as people that test, repair, and ensure that film cameras work from the past, that maybe it's not our job to make new film cameras. But what would it be if we would? What would be your choice? Like immediately, which camera would you love to see in the market again?
Well, like bringing an old camera back,
or
just
just general?
I think a relatively low-featured battery, not battery-dependent SLR.
I would say I want an SLR Plastic Fantastic.
You want autofocus and all that stuff?
Yeah, I would love it. Like I just developed some film this weekend, and it's like you can tell what's being shot with a Canon like 300V. It's like exposure is always perfect.
Yeah,
and then I shoot with my Leica, and it's like every exposure is a new story. If that's the way you want to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love that. Something that's maybe something with a very small flange distance, so I can adapt all those lenses, binding question 1 with question 3. Okay, we have another question. I don't know if I should read all these names. They're so complicated. By Isa Kamboaj. Are you happy living in Finland?
Isaac.
Okay, by Isaac. Sorry.
You want me? I can read them. You answer the question.
Are we happy? Yeah, I'm happy living in Finland. I come from Spain, if you didn't know. Born and raised in Spain. Finland winters are quite nice compared to a humid winter. I come from a place that never freezes, between 5 to 10 degrees, rain. So here, the snow, the cold, the dry is quite nice. The houses are really well made, so it's nice and toasty inside.
That's true.
Society here is quite harsh. I won't say not. Finns are not exactly the open-hearted people that the Latins might be, but at the same time, they are not, they don't have a secret agenda when they open their heart to you, so they're quite good friends once you make them.
Yeah.
But I think food is pretty terrible in Finland. We live in the north of nothing, and the food here is all coming by island, like boat.
True.
So food here is terrible. There's nothing like Mediterranean cuisine here that's actually genuine. It came in a container ship, basically.
Yeah.
Apart from that, and work is awesome. I can't complain. I like what we do here. So that's my experience. Are you happy? So I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have a lot of international people here. I came from the US a number of years ago, and I don't think people would come from so far away and want to come from so far away if we didn't have like a really cool, unique working environment. here at Kamerastore, and I think that's one of the main draws is getting to work with our passion and be surrounded by other people who share that passion.
And do Q&As.
Yeah, and talk to the camera. Yeah, didn't have such an issue transitioning to the winters here because I came from a pretty cold part of the U.S. The darkness has been hard. That's a hard thing. Yeah, a bunch of the stuff you said about the culture. I mean, being anywhere that's different for longer than a holiday, 2 or 3 weeks even, you start to notice that you were raised to do things a certain way and that's not how they're done here. And you need to sort of pick and choose what parts of the culture you're going to take with you and what parts of your culture you're going to keep.
And impose.
Yeah, and make other people. Yeah, no. So it's definitely been an interesting experience. Pros and cons, good things and bad, of course.
Everything has good and bads, but overall, I think Finland's a pretty good place to live in.
Yeah.
It's very safe. It's very like there's no hidden agenda. Like people are straight up pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's pretty nice in a place, coming from other cultures that are a bit more like, oh, I wonder what the real intentions. Finns are quite direct. And yeah, I think it's fine. I think we're still here, so I guess we're happy enough here.
Yeah, I mean,
we're happier that we were in the other location. So that is the answer.
That's another thing, is that you don't move from a country to another one that you've never been to if you're like totally happy with how things are in that first country.
Yes.
But
let's go to the next question. Le Voyeur.
I love that.
Which of the following has a more beautiful design? SX70, Werra, or 500 cm? So 500 cm Hasselblad. The SX70 is the Polaroid, the folding sandwich.
Yeah.
And the Werra is the one that has the lens cap, is the lens hood, which is a beautiful design. I almost want to put those on screen.
Yeah, we can. It's up to you.
But yeah, I'll start with this. I think the SX70 is a really amazing design. I think it's iconic. What they managed to do with that camera, still to this day, shooting perfectly well, is like another world. Like it's just, they made an SLR that folds into flat.
Yeah,
so
it's like as thick as my 2 hands put together.
A beautiful design, engineering design, like it's just, everything is amazing from that camera. I don't love Polaroid film per se nowadays. I don't like the results. I never got good results with it. Yeah. But I do love that design. I do say that the other two contenders are beautiful in their own quirky ways, but I would say Polaroid for me.
I'm a Polaroid fanboy, I can admit.
Yeah,
I'm wearing a Polaroid shirt today, yes I am. Yeah, I think that the Polaroid is probably the most beautiful of the designs and the most impressive engineering.
Yeah.
The Werra is like, they really committed to a design aesthetic, and that's kind of...
It's a bit brutalist in a way, which I kind of like too.
It's kind of impressive in its own way in that regard. They really like sort of knew what they wanted to make, and it's a designy camera that does sort of put its form ahead of its function. It's, twisting the ring around the lens to advance the film and cock the shutter is a little bit like, it doesn't feel great. And they haven't held up so well over time, probably because of their unusual mechanism.
We're not talking about their lifespan.
Well, it's beautiful design can be longevity.
Yeah, but talking longevity, you have 500 cm.
Well, that's what I'm getting to, is that I think I like the Hasselblad the most because it's sort of where that beautiful form meets that like exceptional function as well.
And compatibility. The idea that whenever they made these cameras, they made a system that is modular, that basically survived to the 2000s, and it just died because digital erupted so hard.
Yeah.
But still, compatibility, lenses, backs, digital backs, viewfinders, like it was, it's amazing to me. Every time I break it down, it's like a robot that you put back together, and they made it in the 1950s.
Yeah, and the commitment and the foresight to be able to make a system like that.
That holds for so long.
Whereas if you try to put an accessory on your SX70, it's like a piece of plastic that snaps on, and then to get it off, you have to pull it, and it twists and bends, and it's like, it doesn't feel great.
Not the same.
I mean, as much as I love the SX70, every time you open and close it, it's like, oh, I'm going to break it.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, but it's kind of cool. Okay, we go to the next one. Kamerastore. What?
From far away, that looks like Kamerastore.
Yeah, Kamerastore. Maybe it's a fake Kamerastore account. What's the supply status on spare parts for old point-and-shoot cameras in the world?
It's basically when we have spare part cameras. I would say finding spare parts, like dedicated spare parts, would basically only come if a repair shop closed. A lot of the time, if we're taking spare parts for a camera, we're taking them from a camera that doesn't work and putting them into a camera to hopefully end up with one working camera.
I think the main question also with this question is, most point-and-shoot cameras were never intended to be repaired.
Yeah,
so if we go for the example of the Nikon FM3A that we have here, or the Hasselblad 500C or CM, any of these cameras were professional tools that were made to be repaired, serviced, calibrated X amount of times on their lifespan. Point-and-shoots came at a time where, the program obsolescence or whatever the word is, the term, came to exist in the sense that they were not made to last 20, 30, 40 years. They were made to last till the new model came out and maybe had new features, and you would leave that old model to the side.
Yeah.
Maybe not as hardcore as today with phones that every year we change, but the pieces, the parts, the screws, where the screw screws into is plastic molded parts made in Malaysia, Vietnam, all these places that are not meant to withhold like screwing on in and out, in and out, in and out 10 times. So they're kind of like the IKEA of film cameras. Like, you put it together one time, it does this function, and then if you try to turn out the screw and put it back in, it just breaks.
Yeah.
So spare parts for point and shoots are basically a no-go. I do know some people, like PPP has been recreating the plastic gears with, I think, resin molds and so on. And this is possible, but most times they were not made to be open and fixed. But some people are doing it. But we currently don't carry much of the spare parts for that.
Yeah.
In what we're just saying, like, they're not really easy to repair, and there's not a lot of spare parts because they were never really meant to be fixed that much.
And that's not even beginning to mention the software that.
Oh, if you have to calibrate anything in software, it's like you need a computer from that era with the interface, plug-in software, everything from that era, plus the AF calibration bench that they would have. It's a nightmare. You don't want to get there.
Surprisingly, Olympus was not so keen on selling all their internal testing equipment to randos when they didn't need them anymore.
Why wouldn't they give us the formulas?
Yeah.
Okay, we have Mojo-Jojo.
Do you know what that's from?
I guess Barbie movie?
No.
No?
No, it's not.
The Mojo-Dojo Mikasa?
Yeah.
No? You haven't watched the movie?
No, I have watched the movie. It's not from that.
Yeah.
You can read the question.
Okay. Mju flash won't retract back. Can it be fixed?
Probably. I mean, like, in theory, anything can be fixed if you get the right parts and you get it in the right spot and get it powered correctly. Yeah, it's more a question of, can it be fixed practically, like in reality, with a limited budget and with limited time and with limited knowledge. Can you fix it yourself? Probably not.
What Connor's trying to say is, no, it can't be fixed. In a nice way.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice.
Okay, let's go to the next one because it can't be fixed. Valtsutin, best half-frame cameras.
Multiple cameras?
I don't know, I guess cameras. Maybe it's plural. Which one do you think?
Well, I have one. My personal camera is
the best
Olympus. Yeah, the best is the one that I have because I did so much research. I actually did do a lot of research, but it's the Olympus Pen D3. I went with that model because it has a faster lens. It's an f1.7 lens compared to the 2.8s or even 3.5s on some of the older models. It is the D, so it has a built-in light meter, but it's not attached to the exposure, so it's basically manual exposure with an uncoupled meter. And the D3 because it's a CDS meter instead of selenium. So that was my thought process. I wanted something that was more manual. But I've also used the Ashika Samurai, and that's like pretty crazy fun.
It's really fun. Just the way you shoot is just like a video cam.
Yeah.
I would say, to me, the two ones that are my favorite, I don't know if they're the best. I don't know what the best term means for anything. Like, what's the best for taking selfies? I don't know. So Pen F, the classic with the Gothic F or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I just think it's beautiful, and I love the lenses are pretty nice, and you stop down to like F8 and it's really amazing. And I think half frame film is the future of saving money in film. You get double the shots on a roll.
Good point.
And the film is good enough for like postcards, which is what I print my pictures to.
Yeah.
It's like I don't print like posters.
I bet you could.
Well, I have a poster there. So.
Yeah, I bet you could print a poster. And
Yeah,
it
you
would
probably
be
could, and
fine.
nobody would be too fussy. Just choose a good lens and choose a good film, and you should be fine. And then the Samurai is my favorite.
Yeah.
As a quick, like, silly party camera because it has a built-in flash. It has like a little zoom lens.
I was actually really impressed by the lens.
And it shoots panoramic. So it's like not portrait mode. Because the others are portrait mode. It shoots landscape
Yeah,
mode.
because the film is running up and down in the camera instead of left and right. So the half frame is making landscape orientation photos.
But then you shoot sideways and you really look like a cyborg.
Yeah, you're like giving a salute.
Yes. But yeah, that's our choices. The Pen D3 and the Pen F OG and the Samurai, Yashica Samurai. Those three are good contenders. Gabrielle Gatringer. I struggle to compensate mirror slap on my Olympus OM-2N. Solution to stabilize the camera handheld.
I think, because I had an OM-1 and it's the same battery shape, and I wasn't struggling with mirror slap, but I was maybe struggling with the camera, like how to hold it. And I ended up getting the battery grip. So it adds like, it basically turns this into this. So you have more to grab onto. And that really helped me stabilize the camera. Plus it made it a lot heavier, which, you know, most people, I guess, would say is a con. But when the camera is shaking, having it be heavier means it shakes less. So it's actually a pro in that situation.
I would ask, because I'm not a user of the Olympus OM-2N, can you do mirror lockup?
No.
No? Can you use a cable release? Maybe?
Well, if he wants to do it handheld, probably not.
If you're shooting, well, that's what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah.
Like one thing that a lot of people don't understand when doing like night photography is if I grab a camera that doesn't have mirror lockup and it's night and the exposure is, let's say, 10 seconds, is I can shoot with my hand covered on a tripod, then basically make my hand almost not touch the lens, move my hand out and be like bulb 1, 2, 3, 10.
That's true.
And then put your hand in front and then advance. So mirror lockup is actually not that important in this case. And I know somebody that shot like Pentax 6x7 without the MLU for years, all night photography. And that's his trick, was just like put your hand, take your hand off, put it back on. And that slap is dampened by giving it like 3-4 seconds to the camera to calm down. And it works.
I mean, isn't that how they used to do the shutters back before shutters were invented? Is you just have a piece of paper or something, put it right in front?
A hat. It was the cowboy hat. You would just put it in front.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that could be a trick. If you were trying to do it handheld, like Connor said, like maybe a bit of weight, or then also like putting yourself
bracing
against
yourself
something.
against stuff.
In a video you did with the, was it point and shoot?
It was point and shoots.
You like bracing yourself against like a light pole, and that worked. Something like that.
I've also seen one more thing. A lot of people, especially new photographers, that'll hold the camera like this and like have it up to their face with both hands on the body. And I find that putting your hand under the lens is a lot more stable, because then you can basically rest the whole camera.
Your elbows to your body also.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Like a 3-point.
Yep, yeah. Basically bracing your arms against you, and then you against something, and your hands against the camera.
Or shoot a higher ISO if that's the case.
No, that's also
Shoot if you're doing film that's like 100 ISO and you're getting like so, shoot a little faster film, and then you maybe gain 2 stops.
yeah.
of
Use a
exposure.
faster shutter speed is, I guess, the simplest.
It's also
example.
another way. Let's see what we got here. We have IB Zorg. What will the weather be this weekend? Snowy, I think.
I was in. Yeah. Well.
Well, it was a Friday
I'm
question.
ruining it. Yeah, I'm ruining it. We're filming this on Monday.
It's fine. Time is not.
I was in Helsinki this weekend, and it was actually really sunny on Sunday.
It was really, really sunny. I went for a photo walk.
It was sunny here?
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Photo walk. It was beautiful. Nice and cold. -4, -3 degrees. In the sun, it was nice.
Yeah.
Woolly socks.
Yeah, it is getting cold. It's gonna be like 0 or 1, like high degrees.
Yeah. It's awesome. Kang photos. Leica M8 in 2023. Still worth it. I think we can divide it into, was it ever worth it? Is the first question.
Whoa.
And second, is it worth it in 2023? And I'll start with a few things. The Leica M8 is APS-C sensor. It's not a full frame sensor. It was the first, well, I won't say it's the first digital Leica because there was a weird gizmo in the middle. But it was the first M digital Leica, and it had APS-C, but it also didn't have a built-in, you're gonna kill me in the comments, IR filter or ultraviolet filter, something filter that made the lenses needed to have like some special filter to be able to shoot without creating some weird, like, you know how my Blackmagics don't have that and they make the black not black? I think it's the same thing. IR cut or something like that.
Interesting.
So that's one of the things. So it's kind of annoying if you don't mind shooting a 28 and it being a 35 or a 35 being a 50. I think for the price, they've held the price quite well.
Yeah.
And they do have that Kodak digital sensor that people say is amazing. I've never shot with one. They are the chunky digital Leicas, so it's a little bit fatter.
Yeah.
But I don't know, is it still worth it? Honestly, if you don't mind buying something that might break, because they are getting quite old, and if you don't mind the crop, I'd say yeah, but it depends on your budget.
Yeah. I think for me, if I was using a film Leica and then switching to an M8, it might be hard because you have not many lenses because they're very expensive. So then getting a different experience out of it on film and digital would probably be would be difficult for me personally. I think that I would prefer them have the same field of view.
Yeah. Also, you can use like Voigtlander glass, Jupiter glass, Canon LTM glass. So you can find affordable lenses for it. But yeah, I'd say if it's in your budget, it's probably worth it. If it's not in your budget, then don't get it. We have MiG-0. What is your preferred light metering method?
Well, I carry around my half-frame camera that has an external light meter, or it's an uncoupled light meter. And I set the ISO to the same as the film in my Hasselblad, and I use the Pen F or the Pen D as my light meter.
Wow, you really use your Pen D as your light meter?
I really do. Yeah, I keep the same film in both of them.
My preferred light metering method is, if the camera doesn't have it or the camera is unreliable, is a handheld light meter. A Sekonic, I think it's L308, is a perfect back pocket of your jeans light meter that fits there. It's kind of plasticky enough that if you drop it, it won't break. I also have a Gossen DG Pro F2 that's pretty nice. Yeah. And if not, Sunny 16, if it actually is sunny, is really nice and reliable.
2 days a year.
2 days a year in Finland, but it's for a whole 2 days. The sun doesn't come down.
Yeah.
But I'd say, yeah, Sekonic for me, Sunny 16 if not. And I do have spot meters, but that's when I go super Ansel Adams on something, and I try to do zone system with roll film so that I
should
can't
try a spot meter. I've never
it's
done
pretty
it before.
Cool. Spot meters are cool, especially if you're doing metering from the shadows and highlights.
Well, I mean, I do a lot of macro stuff, so it might be good for that.
That'd be good. And then calculating the loss of light, which is not easy.
I'm using a Dumo for macro. I just hold it to the flowers and press the little button on the back.
And then overexposed to stops. Okay, we have Janne Ranta. What do you guys think is the best dead camera brand, and why is it Bronica?
I'll let you go first.
What's the best dead camera brand? I'd say by a milestone, Mamiya. Mamiya was a brand that made cameras with features nobody knew they wanted until they saw it and thought, why wasn't this done before? The rotating back on the Mamiya RB and RZ is genius. The focusing with bellows, but also having a depth of field scale and light loss on the side is awesome. The C330 line, the C line, TLRs with interchangeable lenses, prisms and stuff is genius with a little light flap, amazing. The Mamiya 7 and 6, the 6 with a collapsible lens that comes inside with the body cap holds batteries inside. It has a little secret capsule and you can hide. Yes. Mamiya had so many cool solutions to their cameras that a lot of them people don't even know about. Yeah. And the Mamiya 7 is just the sharpest glass you can shoot. Its light meter is finicky and slightly spot meter-ish, but amazing. You've shot the camera at least one time.
I have.
And the results are they're so sharp it shouldn't be real.
It looks sharper than real life, or at least my real life with my bad eyes.
Yeah.
But
I think Mamiya, and then the 645 stuff was pretty good. I wouldn't say it's excellent. I never really loved it. But I think if I could bring one back from the dead, it would be Mamiya. And I'm sorry, but Bronica, no, not for me.
Yeah. I respond. This was this was a YouTube comment, and I responded to it.
What did you
Minolta's
say?
my pick.
Minolta?
Minolta's my pick. I think Minolta was one of the most innovative brands out there and really pushed the envelope in terms of technology and like features without ever becoming a high-end luxury brand. They were the first company to use multi-coatings in at least SLR design. Everybody else was doing uncoated or single-coated lens, and Minolta just did boom, boom,
Double
two coats.
Double dipping?
Yeah, they brought the first, or they had the first like average metering, the CLC metering in the SRTs as 2 photo sensors, and it takes the average of them, which allows you to basically take landscape shots of the sky and still have like not a totally black foreground. The first autofocus SLR to come to market, actual autofocus SLR.
Minolta CLE.
Yeah, the Minolta CLE is, I mean, their collaborations with Leica were...
It was the first rangefinder camera with aperture priority.
Yeah?
Because the next one was the M7.
Yeah.
That was a lot longer. And I think the CLE had also something in the light meter that didn't come till the M5, but I can't remember. Maybe a light meter in general. I think we can say the best, let me read, best dead camera brand for 35, Minolta. Medium format, Mamiya.
Yeah.
And we can leave it there. And sorry, Bronica didn't get any points.
Bronica has good flash features for medium format cameras. I will say that. But yeah, I mean, Sony's like the dominant digital camera brand now, and they built their camera brand on Minolta. They bought all the Minolta technology, and now look at them.
Minolta gang is Sony gang nowadays. Then we have Shutter Hug. That's a good one.
I love that.
Which is better, a Canon New F-1 or Nikon F3? I think history would say the Nikon was better.
Probably.
Back in the day, Nikon was the dominant brand.
Yeah.
All the Olympics, all this. It was a fight between Canon and Nikon. It's pretty obvious that it was like that. I think the Nikon F3 is a better camera back in the day. Now in 2023, where we're filming this, they're probably a little less of a difference, but I still think their Nikon is pretty good. More lenses too.
I mean, I had an F3 for a long time, and I really liked it. It's true, there are a lot of lenses out there for the F mount because they stuck with it, and you can even go back and use a lot of the autofocus lenses on an F3. I really love the F3. They both have really smooth, lovely film advances. The F3 is smoother. It's the smoothest one ever if you get a good one.
I mean, what was it, the press one? That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so like the new F1 is a great camera, and if you have one, good, stick with it, it's great. But I mean, the F3 is, I think, a little bit, gets the edge for me.
And like the lenses, like it's just like, you just think 105s. How many 105s did Nikon ever make? You have the DC1, you have the 2.5, the 2.8, the F2s. It's like any lens you want, Nikon has like 10 more. The Canon FD mount died with a Canon F1. Or the new F1, but Nikon kept going. So there's so much glass out there, and honestly, the glass is also very important when you're taking pictures. So
Yeah.
that would be my answer. Then we have Tan Guy. Optics and camera bodies aside, what is the best favorite lens mounting system? Do you fully
Like the
understand
favorite
question?
mechanism of attaching a lens to a body?
I guess let's say that.
Yeah.
The funnest way to attach a lens to the body. This is probably not the question, but let's go for it.
Yeah, it's I think the best lens mounting systems are the ones that you don't notice when you're doing it. So I think in that sense, Canon FD breech lock is the worst, because every single time, the lenses are supposed to lock so that you don't have to play with it before you put it on, but they're so old now that you have to play with it every single time and they don't fit on. So switching cameras with my Canon, I have an old F1 and like 4 or 5 breech lock lenses, and it's just a pain every single time.
But we're talking the best, not the worst.
Well, I'm just...
If we start with the worst and go all the way, we don't have time on YouTube.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Olympus is really good. Olympus has the little buttons right on the lens
That's really nice. That's true.
for turning them on and
You
off.
don't have to find it on the body.
Yeah, it's always in the same spot. Whereas with other mounts, I guess Nikon's all in the same place, but Minolta I know has buttons in different places on different cameras.
That's annoying.
Which is annoying. So if you switch from an SRT to an X700, the button it's only slightly different, but it is in a different place.
I'll give you that Olympus probably is the best, and I will say, in my opinion, the worst is Nikon because it twists the other way compared to everybody else.
Oh yeah, they had to be different.
Every time I adapt something to Nikon, I over tighten instead of take it off, because like I was thinking, Leica has a really annoying one with some of the very low profile lenses that you kind of have to almost like scrape the mount to lock it in, and sometimes it doesn't click. So yeah, Olympus OM is probably coolest, nicest way to mount the lens. Yeah. Let's go to our last question. Tricycle Smuggler, I like your job. Do you think is it possible to make a homemade 35mm wide back for the Bronica GS-1?
I think what you can do is get a 3D printed adapter for putting it in a normal 120 back. I think those exist. You may have issues with gearing to transport the film an equal amount each time, just because those backs are designed for film that's different thickness with the backing paper.
It should work. Some people like adapt it to the backing paper and use it like as normal. That would be a good option. Another one is just crop, like a roll of 35 versus a roll of 120 is almost the same price. Yes, you get 10 pictures instead of 20, but just crop. And you can also not crop if you like the picture without the crop. You can crop the top or crop the bottom. Cropping is not the murder, you know. You can.
Is a roll of 120 is not as long if you were to stretch it all out as a roll of 35. So what happens if you reach the end of the theoretical roll of 120? Does a back let you keep going?
Back with 35?
If I were to put 35 in this Hasselblad,
you would have to use a 220 back.
Yeah.
Because that would give you give or take 20 shots. So you would have to use a 220 back and the adapter that Connor's mentioning, and there are these little 3D printed things on Alibaba and eBay and everywhere, and you can get them on, download the file and print it yourself with your cousin. That is like this little, big
it fits on either side of the canister.
And it holds the canister. The only thing is, when you finish the roll, you have to go in a dark bag or dark bathroom or corner in your house and like unwind it carefully. And then tell your lab that you exposed the sprockets. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And I think you can do it. A lot of people have been doing it.
Yeah, I actually have an adapter for, it's not 120, it's 127. It's a Yashica 44 TLR. I've had some issues with film flatness sometimes, just again because of the backing paper that I think holds the film.
Yeah, I think it just pulls it nicely.
And then like I said with the advance, maybe that's an issue with 127 more than 120, but I have to advance the film sort of less and less as I go further in the roll.
I don't think the 120 should have that 35 adapted. I don't know. You can test it out. Let us know. We would love to know.
Yeah, it'll be trial and error, so be prepared to lose some film.
And
it's fun.
Yeah, just be careful you don't tear the film and it scratches like the shutter or something on your camera. That's another issue you could have. But yeah, that's been the Q&A. As always, we're here on YouTube, and we throw the questionnaire on Instagram, so make sure you follow us there. And you can subscribe to this channel and also ask us questions because Connor monitors those, and some of the questions here are from YouTube. Yeah. Thanks for another Q&A, and see you next week, whenever that is.
Bye everyone.